For just £600, I bought the cheapest Volkswagen Fox money could buy on the internet, but it's not without its fault. And the main one being that the power steering pump doesn't actually work on this thing, but we've got a new one to fit to it today. Have you ever been in a position where you've got a dream goal and you've actually got the ability to try and achieve that dream? Well, I have. I'm trying to trade £500 cash into my ultimate dream Volkswagen Transporter by buying and selling old cars to make money to get us one step closer to that goal. And to help get us there, we need to try and save as much money as we can on parts, which is why I have bought a new power steering pump which isn't off a Volkswagen Fox. It's actually off a Skoda Fabia. So the Volkswagen Fox power steering pumps were roughly around £90 for a second-hand one. Typed in the part number and found one from a Skoda Fabia, which was actually a little bit cheaper. I think I paid roughly around £60 for this. And saving money is how we're going to get our profits maximised to get us that next step closer. And here it is in all its glory. Left is our old one off a Volkswagen Fox, and the right one is off a Skoda Fabia 1.4 diesel. What a relief, that part looks absolutely identical to the old one. All that's left now is to get it fitted on the car. We've made a start putting the power steering pump back in this thing, but we need to top it up with fluid. So I've just been to Wilco and I've got some MV-CHF central hydraulic fluid to refill this thing back up again. If I can get the child's cap off, and then I'll put a bit in, and then we'll have to check, get this thing level and see where we are looking on the little gauge at the side. It's absolutely vital we get this bit nice and perfect, because if we don't, it's an absolute ball ache to get access to this pump again. We then go ahead with reinstalling it by doing up the 13mm nuts, reconnecting the plugs and the silicone hose and the flared line that goes into this. Pretty easy really. So now it's the moment of truth. Will we get a light on the dashboard? Have we fixed this thing? Well, yeah, it appears so. We have smashed the light off the dashboard and it's one less thing to worry about. It steers nice and easy now. Woohoo! What an absolute result. The Fox is now steering nice and properly, the light's off the dashboard, and that is one less job to worry about on this little thing, which I'm absolutely stoked about. But let's have a little look and see how much this little fix cost us. The power steering pump came out of a Skoda Fabia 1.4 diesel. Matching the part numbers up, we managed to find one that would fit, which is why we got one from the Skoda, which cost us a grand total of £64.98. Now, the VW equivalent of this, bear in mind it's the same part, cost around £90 to £100 through eBay as a second-hand part. But obviously with the new pump, it didn't have any fluid, so we needed to replace that with some fresh fluid, which cost us £9.89, £74.87 just for the power steering fix on the little Fox. The only trouble is, we now have £23.32 left until we hit the £1,000 threshold. We still need to buy a wing for this thing, and well, I did say previously I'd like to keep it under £1,000. Do you reckon we can find a wing for less than 25 quid on the internet? Well, let us know down below if you think we can do it or not, or if you know someone who might be able to hook us up with an LC9Z driver's wing for our little Fox, because the challenge is on. So we can't knock that. It's an absolute great saving, and it will definitely help us when we get towards the end of this thing when we try and sell it. But I don't think the next job is going to be as easy as what that was. So you may remember when we bought this car, we couldn't actually see the mileage on the odometer because, well, the display is pretty ruined. Let me bring you closer and show you what I'm talking about. At the top, you've got the clock, and down below, you've got the trip counter, then with the vehicle's mileage. Well, with the Volkswagen Fox, one of the common problems with this car is the fact that that display likes to stop working, which, unfortunately, ours is a victim of. Now, the repair is easy if you know what you're doing, but for someone who doesn't know what they're doing, it's a bit of a challenge. Now, I'm up for giving anything a go, because if we manage to pull this out the bag, it's going to be our cheapest and probably most beneficial repair. So, let's get on the tools and give it a go, because the anticipation is killing me.
Using a trim tool remover, I'm able to remove a black clip which holds the right hand vent onto the dashboard, revealing two T25 screws which are holding the central piece of plastic around the cluster. With these removed, we can then go ahead and easily pull that piece of plastic away from the dashboard. This reveals another T25 which is securing the actual cluster itself to the dashboard. With this removed, we can then go ahead, unplug the dash and then remove the cluster for us to, well, carry out the next part of the repair. This next part requires absolute delicate precision from me so I don't actually break anything. So we're going to start to strip this thing apart to try and get access to the little LCD screen where we can repair this thing. Obviously this is all plastic clips, all really fiddly, so we need to be really careful not to break anything. One by one, taking off bits of plastic clip, prying off the needles with a teaspoon because, well, it was just the easiest and safest way to do it. These right and left hand side parts of the dash just pulled off nice and easy, but the central part was actually stuck down. So being careful not to split or mark this piece, I used a screwdriver to delicately prise it off, which you can see I'm doing here. I can't imagine how awkward it would be to try and get hold of just this piece on its own, so damaging this wasn't an option. With that removed, we then can further gain more access to the motherboard by unclipping, even more plastic little clips to pull the motherboard out from this piece of plastic, which then reveals our little LCD screen.
So as you can see, we've managed to strip this thing down to pieces. Now it's the pressured part of removing the actual display from the motherboard without causing any issues, so cross your fingers for me whilst I do this.
Gently removing this strip then, because there's carbon filmed contacts on the side there which I don't want to damage. Now here's where the vodka comes in. Using vodka and a cotton bud, I can try my best to safely and carefully remove the glue residue, which little did I know was going to take absolutely ages to get this stuff off. I had to do this on the motherboard, and I had to repeat the same process on the LCD screen. But you can see there clearly it does take a bit of work, but you can also see that it is coming off.
The motherboard is now clean, and the little LCD display has had the glue residue removed as well. So that means all that is left to do is to attach this little bit of paper or whatever it is to that, and then solder that onto the motherboard, and well, job should be a good one. Doing the reverse of taking this thing apart, we've managed to put it back together, and now it's the moment of truth. Oh no. It hasn't fixed it. Oh. After all that. So this is what we've got on the dashboard. It hasn't fixed it. We're in the same position as what we were, but it is a little bit better. I can only think that this means one of two things. Either we haven't aligned the stripes up with the motherboard when we've re-soldered it back together, or the LCD screen is actually at fault and we should have changed that and not just the connection between the two. So I guess we're going to have to go back to the drawing board for this one and see if we can get a replacement screen, or we just pass it on when we sell the car and let the new buyer deal with it. Although that could mean knocking off some money on the overall price. What a pain. Browsing the internet, it looks like for an LCD dash repair, we're in the region of £150. But don't forget, we've still got to try and source a wing for this thing, so it might be better to go for plan B and just passing it on to the new owner. But we need to try and do some more investigation on that one. But in the meantime, there's another little job we can do, which is going to make a nice little difference to the Fox. Now, there's nothing wrong with the number plates that are on our Fox, but we aren't part of the EU anymore, and they probably haven't been changed since 2007. As well as having our little branding on there, these new number plates are going to give it a bit of a freshen up, make it stand out and just look a little bit neater. So we're going to go ahead and get these fitted to the front and rear to make that little bit of a difference. Unfortunately guys, that is it for this video. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, hit the bell icon to be notified for future videos. Let all your friends know about our channel so they can follow along with our journey. But most importantly guys, you are the best, and thank you so much for your support. Catch you in the next one.